All right, it looks like we're ready to go. So, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Blu-rayDave back with another FNAF news video for you guys. Wow, it's been a while since I've talked anything, at least FNAF news related. And believe me, guys, like I've been meaning to get down, like talking about this. And honestly, this has been one of the greatest Christmas gifts we ever received in 2022. Like, I'm happy to hear that the film is still going through the process of getting into production on time. Finally, they got a script, they got a new director. Um, so yeah, and I did promise you guys that we will talk about this. So here we are. And I want to try to at least attempt to cover the FNAF timeline here. So I don't know how long the stream is going to be. I don't want it to be too long, but I do have a little marker board here that yes, I'm going to go through like not the way that the games were released, but like in chronological timeline order, and that starts with FNAF 4, right? If I've made any mistakes, errors with the timeline, you can correct me in the comments because I pretty much have a good idea what the timeline might be. So let's start talking about the casting here, guys. So wow, who saw these two coming? I definitely didn't. Um, Matthew Lillard, who played Shaggy in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, and Josh Hutcherson, who's been one of my favorite child actors growing up. Like I loved most of his movies, and like it's pretty much confirmed, guys, that Matthew Lillard is going to be William Afton and Josh is going to be Michael. I had no idea though that Lillard was part of the Scream movies, but I'm not gonna watch them though, guys, because it looks stupid. But I mean, it's like when you look at Matthew, it's like he just looks like a really funny guy. Well, I'm sure he is. Like when you look at him, you probably think like, oh, he's just a really funny but cool guy. But like you never thought he'd be. Well, since this is pretty much true that he's going to be William, then he needs to nail down the British accent, okay? And I'm still on board with you guys that Willem Dafoe should have played William for sure because something about Willem's, his face, his facial features, like he looks menacing enough. Like he has like that serial killer type vibe to him. But I'm open to anybody else who could play William Afton because we pretty much know, guys, that the trilogy of the FNAF movies that Scott's making, they're pretty much still going to be in game canon. So, um, but yeah, I'm happy to hear that next month, February 1st, they are going to start production, aka starting principal photography, guys. Like I said, can this not get any more cooler and better and exciting, right? And help me out here, guys. I don't watch any Blumhouse movies, but I should just to like get me prepared. But like, how do Blumhouse productions work? Like, do they actually take like 2 months to, you know, do principal photography? Because the budgets I hear from the movies that they make, like they know how to make like good horror movies. Um, and of course, they're partnered with Universal for the next few years. So, um, tell me, guys, do they actually start shooting like in like 2 months and then they have to deal with effects? Well, I can't imagine there can't be that much effects, considering like there might have to be a little bit of CGI involved with the animatronics, of course. Oh my gosh, I'm getting dead skin. um, but guys, I'm gonna call this out, okay? How much do you guys want to bet that we're gonna get an official trailer this summer for the movie? Just think about it. Say like middle of July, right? Like they announce it and like, cause from what I notice with Blumhouse trailers, like they usually release them closer to their releases. But guys, it's pretty much a guarantee. I don't know if Jason has confirmed this, but like it's pretty much a guarantee that we might actually get this year. Like let's say October of this year. Like it makes perfect sense, right? Like releasing a movie by Halloween time. Like, oh my gosh, me and Tegan hopefully will be there opening day because I want to see this movie so bad, so bad, especially on premiere night. Gosh, I want to have that experience. Um, let's see. I'm not going to go too much into the other stuff that has been covered by other channels. Like I know they've hired a new director, which I've never heard of her before, but we'll give her a shot. If Scott and Jason approve of her, then she has my seal of approval too. All right, Josh Hutcherson. Oh my gosh, this kid. I remembered I wanted to be like him so bad, like whatever roles he played, like not every role, but like I should have known that he was a mocap character like Hero Boy in the Polar Express. I don't remember if he exactly voiced the character. I know Tom Hanks played voiced a lot of characters, but like that was definitely my first introduction to Josh for sure. And then you got the Birds of Terabithia, which by the way, great movie by the way. Like, oh my gosh. I remember when that movie came out, I used to have a lot of mixed feelings about that movie. Like, oh, I love this movie, or oh, I hate this movie. Do you guys know what I mean? Like when let's say like weird movies in our time or in your guys' time too, like they came out and you had like weird mixed feelings about these, like, oh, I hate this, but I also love it too. Like I've had that feeling with similar movies too, like Ratatouille as well. Oh my gosh, I don't know why, but it's funny. Also Josh is in the freaking, what do you call them? Like the Journey movies. You know which ones I'm talking about, right? The first one came out in 2008 and the second one came out 2012 with The Rock. He's great in those for sure. And yes, I am aware that he's in the freaking but stupid Hunger Games movies, which I'm not gonna watch. So they look dumb, anyways. I know he's in other productions too. I mean, just by looking at Josh now, he does look like he does have like those Michael Afton qualities and traits to him. Like he's perfect. Like he's still in his 20s. Like he could pull that off too. Like, oh my gosh. Oh, I can't wait, guys. I can't wait. I'm pretty sure most of us can't wait for this. Oh man. Still, I've also mentioned this before in a FNAF video too. If they can do this, guys, all right, because this is a video game movie, they should start. The intro should start with like people who've been on the internet or people in general just been dedicated to the franchise since 2014, like showing like that much love and fan dedication. Like, don't you guys agree? Like, um, of course, knowing Blumhouse, they make like straight up horror films, but like, and I'm not expecting them to make like any like 8-bit, 16-bit, whatever noises for the intro. But like, if you've been on YouTube and over the years, there has been so many creators that have made a custom Blumhouse intro that it like the intro is just like the Freddy's like music box from the first game. Like, oh my gosh, can you imagine if the movie started out like that? And of course, when Warner Brothers had the rights at the time, like somebody made like a glitched out Warner Brothers intro, like, wow, can you imagine? Oh man. Hopefully, guys, when I'm able to do face cam recordings on my computer here, I want to make a legit reaction to the FNAF movie trailer, okay? I promise you that is going to happen, okay? So let's make it happen. But yeah, I definitely see like, Josh, pulling off the role, like he's gonna nail this for sure. Like I never doubted Josh, he's such a good actor for sure. Along with Matthew Lillard, of course, and of course I saw this coming. Like Matthew has been getting most of the attention, like because he played Shaggy. Of course, I've expected the memes and like Like Scoob. Turns out I found out I'm the man behind the slaughter. Oh my gosh. Like, who else saw that coming, right? I'm pretty sure you guys who found out you already start making the memes or you're expecting them like, oh boy, here we go again. Oh my gosh, that is funny. Still a great promising start, guys, for sure, from Blumhouse. Literally, that movie is literally my main focus of this year, guys. And again, if it is coming out this year, which I'm pretty sure it will, then the wait would be worth it. Ever since 2015, guys, like right away, my gosh, I I never encountered a franchise where it became so popular and like in the first year that immediately gets like a movie or a TV show, whatever, like FNAF, like they immediately went on to movie. I don't know what Scott's intentions were. Did Warner Brothers go up to him and be like, "Hey, we've heard about this franchise called FNAF, and would you like to make a movie on it?" And I'm happy. I'm also happy to hear that Scott, he is happy to work with the script. Okay, and I'm pretty sure they're still going with the Mike screenplay. And of course, you need to expect this movie like to be simple, like somewhat basic, like the first game, right? Like I said, guys, it's gonna be like 2014 all over again. Of course, and I repeat myself all the time when I say this, I didn't immediately join the fandom that day until like a year after, but like still, and I'm still considered a veteran. For most of us who've been in the community, I probably say like what 14 and 15, like we're known as the veterans. I'm not saying anybody else is a veteran, like, but if you don't prefer to be called that, that's fine. Don't want to put labels on anyone. It's just I just feel like honored being a FNAF veteran, though. Um. So yeah, I think Matthew and Josh are gonna pull these roles off. I like the chemistry between them. It just reminds me of Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland. So that's gonna be fun. Okay, now we've talked that a little bit about the actors. Now let's talk about the timeline. Of course, I might reference some of the Fazbear Frights books a little bit. I have not read the Tales from the Pizzaplex books yet because I still need to get the last book, which is book 12 of the Fazbear Frights. Of course, we're going by the games. Hopefully, you guys can read that. So, yeah, FNAF 4 all the way to Security Breach. Okay. So, FNAF 4 released summer of 2015, which was originally supposed to be released in October 2015. But you know what? If Scott had pretty much everything done right away and he didn't want to wait another 3 months, then release it early. Okay, so FNAF 4, as far as we know, obviously it's not FNAF Origins, as the community's been calling it, which we need a game like that. With Scott partnering up with Steel Wool and all these other gaming companies to advance the games. Like I think it is time to, make FNAF Origins. Like that would be so cool. So FNAF 4 takes place in 1983, right? This is when, William, this was pre-corruption, so like he was still a good guy. He was one of the well actually he was a co-founder of Fredbear's. Of course he's a technician, so he made pretty much most of the animatronics, and he has 3 kids, right? The oldest being Michael at the time, who was a teenager in 83, the middle child being Evan, and the youngest being Elizabeth. But we still don't know anything about William's wife. Like, they better show in the movie like what happened to her. Hopefully she's not dead, because this is one of those stupid movie tropes I hate, and it's always been depressing for me. Like, why do they always have to like kill off the mom for whatever reason? Like, just keep her, okay? Keep the mom, you know? And I don't mind this if it comes to movie or TV, but like if the dad doesn't contribute anything, like if he's being a jerk to his family, then kill him off. That's how I would write my stories, you know, like just kill off the dad in that project if he's being a jerk. Okay, so I don't know how Evan was able to manage to go to Fredbear's all by himself because we don't know how old he was. My mind is thinking of like a that stereotypical age where he could be like 8. Let's just go with that number for now. Let's say he's 8 years old and he's able to go to the pizzeria, but like he is deathly afraid of these characters. Like back then, this was only Fredbear and Golden Bonnie, right? And those were the two only real Springlock suits. And if you guys don't know what Springlocks are, basically in the FNAF lore, it a Springlock suit is a 2-in-1 suit. So either you can have it on robot mode or suit mode. So like if you want to wear it as a costume, you can. Just make sure that you don't have moisture, breath, or anything wet on them, or otherwise you have done what Afton has been done to him, which we'll get onto later on. And of course, Michael being a teenager at the time, he had a Foxy mask and he scared the crap out of Evan. Like, what did Evan do to you, man? Like, he kept scaring the crap out of him, and maybe this is just Evan's mind, and maybe this was intentional on Scott's part too, but I don't believe that Evan's plush toy of Fredbear was possessed. You know, like it's all just in his head, really. It's all in his head. And one time when Evan went to Fredbear's, right, he doesn't know it's his dad, but it was pretty much foreshadowing him being Purple Guy, but like he was quote unquote stuffing an employee into a Golden Bonnie suit, you know, like I wouldn't want to go in there. It looks uncomfortable. But Evan saw this and he got traumatized by it. But I mean, that wasn't the only thing that traumatized him, of course, which you guys know where I'm getting with this. So enters his birthday, right? Michael and his friends, you know, teenagers being dumb teenagers, they grab Evan, and then Michael thought it'd be a funny joke to put his little brother into the mouth of Fredbear. If you would have had the common sense to know, like, oh, this thing is going to crush my brother. So, because I know that the tears from Evan, like, I know he was crying, like, because he cried all the time because of these things. Like, it loosened the spring locks and then crushed the little kid. Yeah. I mean, sure, it'd be nice to see an adaptation of that on film, see how that would, like, you know, how would that pan out. But if there's any doctors in here who are going to be watching this later, if you're a doctor, right, tell me in the comments how would Evan survive a crush like that? Sure, he's been crushed, but like when you play as him in the 4th game, every 5 nights, like you know, he's like functioning fine, but when he sees the animatronics, like obviously he's hallucinating. Like there's no way they could ever go into his home. But like they're nightmare animatronics, of course. And every night, like his room gets a little different. Like they show like pills and like an IV bag thing. You know, like he shouldn't have gone out that way. Heck no. But I'm pretty sure Michael learned his lesson big time, because if it is true in lore, which by the way, guys, if you've been keeping up with an awesome YouTuber by the name of Scrimpus McGrimpus, he's been making these FNAF VHS tapes since 2020. And I know he stopped in 2022, but they were so good. It He made them feel like these tapes were part of the lore. Like if Scott were to make these tapes canon and have Scrimpus involved behind the scenes, like that'd be awesome, you know? Um so how Scrimpus put this with the Aftons is that apparently William, I don't know, I guess hated Michael because he was the oldest and he cared so much for his two youngest kids. So if it is true in the canon lore, then again, hopefully they'll explain that. Um, because yeah, I would love to see that on film, like how Williams and Michael's father-son relationship will turn out to be. Because if this is the case in the canon lore, then like, what did William see in Michael? You know, did he just saw him as like a problem child? I hate those kinds of parents where they see their children as problem children. Then like, you shouldn't have kids in the first place, even if your kids were conceived. At least you should have given them up to an orphanage or a foster home, whatever. I know that William hated Michael more after that, what he did. And of course, um, I know this isn't going to be in the canon lore for sure, but like the box, all right? Everyone gets so pissed off about the box. I didn't mind the box because Scott literally could have unraveled the whole story. Like, and there's two locks. So unless if Scott made a retcon where the box could be canon in the movie and explain the two locks, I don't know. Again, Scott's a genius. He knows what he's doing. So um, if we could try to get an adaptation of the box, that'd be great. And again, it's funny to hear like I believe it was 2020 when the haters or doubters came back to the franchise. Everything was a mess to them. Like, what? There's books, there's new games, there's more lore. What? Like, you shouldn't have left the franchise, you dummies. FNAF was at its peak in 2015. Everyone can agree on that. If you've been in the franchise since 14 or 15, we all can agree that it peaked in 2015 because of like all the hype. Oh my gosh, if I could do anything to relive those moments, I could. Again, if they could put this on film where in Evan's conscience where Fredbear's talking to him like don't worry, I will put you back together, and then they'll have William say that to him. Like that was when Evan finally died. Like I'm pretty sure he survived his last week. Like just by looking at that, like I'm pretty sure any doctor would tell you this, but like Evan wouldn't survive that long. Like if he was really crushed like that, then he'd be gone for good. Yeah, poor kid though. All right, so that was pretty much FNAF 4. Like I said, I'm pretty sure most of us in the community want a FNAF Origins, and that would be the very first one to come before number 4. All right, so FNAF 5 Sister Location came out October 2016. Let me tell you, that was like a good birthday gift I've ever gotten. Just like it coming out and like Markiplier playing the game every day. So I'm hearing different noises, guys. It's probably nothing. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to like pause or stutter or anything. It's just, um, shut up, phone. So Scott didn't really specifically put in a date when FNAF 5 takes place because my best guess is in 83 because that was when the bite of 83 happened in FNAF 4 because um in Sister Location there's a room, it's a private room where William has, and he has like Apparently, he's installed security cameras into the FNAF 4 house just to keep an eye on Evan. Well, but yeah, um, I can't imagine back in the 80s, specifically in the FNAF timeline, that there will be that much tech involved. Because even if you hear the name Sister Location, guys, Sister Location means there's literally a location underground. Okay, like it's private. Nobody knows about it. Only like special people go down there. And of course, like the animatronics that William built, they're rentables. Who Whichever kid has a birthday party, they can rent out animatronics. And Baby specifically, she used to be my favorite character from the game. Um, she was made specifically from William's daughter's image, Emily being the youngest. Because of the death of Evan, he advised her to stay away all the time because he didn't want to have the same thing that happened to her, what happened to Evan. Um, but as we all know, with these animatronics, they have like little scoopers in their stomachs, and in the mini game, um, they show that with the kid, she went up to Baby to get ice cream, and then the scooper just grabbed her and then crushed her inside. Oh my gosh. Again, I can't imagine that, guys. It's creepy. Yeah, I just can't ever imagine the thought of that. But like, in recent years, Funtime Freddy with Bon Bon have been my favorite characters. Like, they're so cool. Especially Funtime Freddy is voiced by Keelan Goff. Um, I definitely like Hand Unit for sure. He was pretty cool, but I think it's still uncertain to this day who are we playing as in that game. Is it Michael or is it William? Well, let's try to look at the evidence of that because again, this crap is a little complicated, so we got to look at this, okay? Um, but of course, when you get to the last night, the scooping room, you're in there, and then Ennard, he voiced Baby most of the time, like pretended, like even Baby herself told whoever was in there with her, like she had to pretend because her and the other animatronics, like they want to get out so bad, but like they had to pretend. Of course, there's this electric shock. Even William knows what's going on, and I believe that William specifically made these animatronics to kill people in general. So, oh my gosh, I'll get to you. Um, so here's where a little bit of the evidence comes in. Even Scott released this one after FNAF 3 came out, which I was unaware of. Even Markiplier, if you've watched Markiplier's live stream where he says, like, let's talk FNAF, like he showed like the blueprints basically on like what's inside Springtrap. Um, we could be playing as William or we could be playing as Michael because there are two purple guys, right? So Michael turns out to be a purple guy, but he's the good one. So I'm pretty sure we are Michael in this. No. Well, if we are playing as Michael, then how would he get a job at that age? Well, unless if he was 16, if he just turned 16. But that one, I don't know. You guys can correct me in the comments below about that. Let's see. But on one of the nights when Ballora is, being scooped, apparently we're stuck in a spring locked suit. Scott didn't want to reveal who it was, but my best guess that it could be Springtrap or Spring Bonnie. Spring Bonnie before he became Springtrap. So, but again, I would love to see that on film. However, Scott wants to do it. Anyways, you get scooped, right? And when you get into the bathroom, you look in the mirror and then your eyes turn purple. But there's cut scenes, right, with Michael, and every day he's turning a little bit green, and then he's turning purple, and then Ennard, we find out he gets like Michael throws him up, like, and Ennard goes down to the sewers, and like I hope Michael turned out okay after that. Like, I hope the purpleness, if you will, like faded away after that, because I don't think anybody could survive being purple that long. But in the FNAF 3 blueprints that Scott revealed for Springtrap, if you look, there's no other organs in there because we all know that William is Springtrap, but like it could be Ennard that corrupted William. Either a William was corrupted by like anger, grief, greed too, and selfishness, or two, Ennard possessed him, and then, but Ennard was stuck in William because of Springtrap. But he was able to manage to keep William survived after 30 years. I believe. Let's see. I want to talk about William's death too. Either that happened in the 80s or the 90s. So either way, those exotic butters though in such a location. Gotta love them exotic butters, you know. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think I pretty much covered at least like the basics or the important stuff, right? Well, I don't want to leave out like there was two technicians that got hung by Ennard. You know, because if they found out, then he had to hang them. They couldn't escape. So, all right. FNAF 2, November of 2014, which was originally supposed to come out 2015. So it takes place in 1987. That was when the big bite happened. So 83 didn't really occur to anybody else. That wasn't a big one either. Well, I also want to make sure, like, besides like talking outside of the games, I want to make sure I talk about like, well, like I want to talk about the other specifics in the lore too. So like, did the first murders, the first five? Well, let's see. In the mini games of FNAF 2, right? Charlie Emily, who was still a kid at the time. If you read the Silver Eyes trilogy, those are not canon, but like Charlie Emily in those books, she's a teenager and she gets killed off in one of them. And her father, Henry Emily, was one of the founders of Fredbear's. So Henry and William were really good friends. So yeah, Charlie was definitely the first victim, like William's first victim. And she possesses the puppet, which again, I hope we get to see it on film on how she possessed the puppet, the marionette. And she's the one that's saving the kids. Again, coming from the mini games, like give gifts, give life. And considering that she's still a child, even Matt Pat brought this up. Like, considering that she's still a child, like in that puppet, like she was given the four victims gifts. But okay, maybe William did have a little part in like putting the kids into the suits, and obviously not telling anybody. But he got caught and convicted, and he did more murders after that. How can they let anybody like him get away with that? But from what I know from FNAF 2, apparently this is supposed to be the grand reopening because the original, not necessarily Fredbear's, but the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, like I believe with Charlie, if that was the case when Charlie became the first victim, that's why they closed down. But like in 87, when they had to do the grand reopening with the toy animatronics. And of course, the technology back in the day, especially back in the 80s, like they couldn't like do facial recognition software like for looking out for predators and all that. Like they couldn't do that back in the 80s. I'm sure they could do it now, but like Yeah, it's impossible. And they were able to allow the animatronics at that time roam around during the day, which I'm pretty sure this location in '87 was Freddy's Jr. because Fredbear's got bought out. And I'm pretty sure William was still an employee. And we get introduced to two new employees, one of them being Jeremy Fitzgerald, um, which, by the way, Jeremy might be the Bite of '87 victim. And I think we all know who did the bite. It was Mangle because if you guys remembered, like the Withered animatronics, they're retired. They're in the back room, so they use them for like to make the toy animatronics, right? So Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, even Toy Chica could even they don't have the jaws, the mechanisms to do that. So I'm pretty sure someone like Mangle, who's just tired of being fricked up every day by kids, like Kids Cove, like even Phone Guy, like how does Phone Guy find out all this? Like he sounds like well, obviously he's not the man behind the slaughter, but like he knows everything apparently. So whoever can play Phone Guy, we need to know of his origins, of his backstory, and like how he's related to all of this. And could he be maybe the long lost brother of William? That would be a cool retcon because we all thought Phone Guy was Purple Guy because the way he talked to us during the tapes of the games, like holy frick. And of course, you gotta remember like some of the training tapes that you're introduced to in some of the games they're pre-recorded. So Phone Guy had to appear in the company or companies way early on. So was it the time during the well, probably not with the unwithered animatronics, right? Maybe like um but on the first night when you're in FNAF 2, right? Like he tells you welcome to your first summer job when literally the paycheck at the end is November. Okay, so maybe Freddy's Jr. was opened up months before, and then Jeremy comes in, and then he's probably like, "What? It's like fall." Like, but then I'm sure he realized by now, like, "Oh, these tapes are pre-recorded." So, and again, Night 6 is canon because even though Scott has confirmed, like with most of the games, Night 6 and 7, sometimes 8, like they're not really canon, but like you got to consider this small detail slash Easter egg, okay? Phone Guy mentioned that there was a yellow suit that has been taken. I think it was in the parts and service room. So, can you guess which one he's talking about? Spring Bonnie, because that was when William dressed up as him in disguise and lured children to the back room and then just ended them. Just so you guys are aware, I'm pretty sure any of you guys are in the community too. I do not condone what Purple Guy has done to the kids. Like, I do not support it. Even though there will be some people that would say, "Oh, I would love to see it on film. See how that would be." Like we have a better perspective. Like, you got to understand that it's still awful and disgusting and sick. Again, that's something I would never support of. And it's even hard to talk about this stuff too because as much as I love like the franchise and I'm happy that the games themselves they don't really heavily base on the backstory as much, but like once you start getting filled up with this, like oh yeah, it's best if we don't talk about it as much. Um, let's see what else. What else? Definitely, Freddy's Jr. had to close down because of the bite for sure. Um, Yeah, and someone had to tamper with the facial recognition software with the toy animatronics, which I'm pretty sure, again, it might have been William because when they interact with the kids, they're just fine, but when they encounter an adult, they just stare, right? According to a phone guy, of course. And apparently, Charlie herself, who's in the puppet, she appears in FNAF 1, the FNAF 1 location. And in FNAF 1, of course, we don't see it because I'm pretty sure Scott didn't know how to put this at the time or didn't even think about this. Like, the boarded up room is actually in the FNAF 1 location, which, again, I want to talk about. I want to talk about Purple Guy's death. Um, Okay, I pretty much covered again the important stuff in FNAF 2, and again, the Bite of 87, of course. So let's move on to the original game, FNAF 1, and um, the the time on the paycheck is vague, but we figured it out what timeline it came from, 1993, because of the Nathan Dunlap scenario that happened in '93 at Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, and also during the early '90s, minimum wage back then was like $4 an hour. So if you haven't checked out Matt Pat's very first FNAF theory on that, go check it out. Like you'd be surprised on how much he talked about with that. So yes, we're in the FNAF 1 location, right? And we get introduced to new animatronics. Um, the original cast, right? Um, which, by the way, I want to talk a little bit about like Fredbear and the Shadow animatronics. Shadow Bonnie, could that be William's shadow? And we don't know who really got killed in Fredbear. Maybe just an employee. But like in FNAF 2, we get a glimpse of like Shadow Freddy and of course Shadow Bonnie. And Fredbear, Um, again, this could be Evan or this other character I'm aware of, Cassidy. Possessing Fredbear. Like Fredbear can take on. Oh my gosh, I hate when my closet does that. I don't know if you guys heard that. Fredbear apparently, whoever's possessing Fredbear can take on different iterations of Fredbear. Um, it's like yeah, most of the time with Fredbear, like he's slumped all the time. So like his endoskeleton has been taken out. So he's in suit mode. You gotta remember that, guys. Okay. Um, and of course, if you do see the lone naked endoskeleton in the back room, yeah, just know it's Golden Freddy's. Um, okay, so the main guy that honestly, how could we know this back in the day when the game came out? You're playing as Mike Schmidt, right? But it's actually Michael Afton. Of course, he had to like change his identity, of course, because he didn't want people to know he's affiliated with his dad, the killer. Um, but I know that he's doing everything he can to stop the tragedy. Um, Now that I think about it, with the back rooms being boarded up in the FNAF 1 location, I'm starting to think, well, again, Purple Guy's death really couldn't have happened in '87 right away after when Freddy Jr.'s closed. But like, if you check out SFM animations on like, it's really gruesome, but it's pretty cool. He got what he freaking deserved. Um, so like in the FNAF 1 location, right? Like we know that at least the Spring Bonnie suit was in there. Um, William would take down any of the main animatronics like from FNAF 1, right? Like he would take them down, and then the spirits of the kids would haunt him, just trying to mess with him, right? They weren't expecting him to go into the suit, and like he thought he was fine, but as soon as like, of course, with locations being old, like they try to repair them in decent repair, like you gotta expect like there's gotta be cracks in the walls or whatever, and um there was water coming up. Like it was raining that night, so water went in, and he had moist breath, and then boom, and then the kids were like, "Holy frick!" And then I believe that's when like they actually boarded them up. Like, wasn't that location built in the '80s too? Like, I think we all know that Michael didn't just go to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza for the hours, again to investigate what he was doing. Like, gosh, I'm pretty sure William wanted out so bad, so like I'm pretty sure he heard Michael's voice and like he wanted him to get out. Of course, Michael didn't want to because he knows what his father's capable of, and if he were to allow his father to be out there in the real world, oh boy, you better lock your doors at night. Again, uh, a hypothetical comment, so like, please don't take this stuff literally, guys. Like, I'm just trying to figure out the timeline here because again, I have a good idea what it might be like. And apparently, Michael got fired for tampering with the animatronics and odor. Like, again, what I've talked about, what Charlie mostly did, and sometimes William did with the kids in the suits. Like, if you know, you know. I don't want to get too into the specifics, but like those suits smell pretty bad. Of course, I wouldn't know, but I'm just saying, like, again, hypothetically speaking, like, or theoretically speaking, of course, too. Um, but I'm pretty sure Michael got all the information he needed and just, happy to be out of there. Of course, the animatronics mistake him for being William because I'm pretty sure they look alike. I mean, how can they? Honestly. I mean, yes, every kid has like those resemblance of their parents, but if he really does look like a doppelganger William, then that's going to be a problem. That is going to be a problem, guys. Okay. Now into FNAF 3. The most hated game ever, guys. Like, I hate this so much. Released in March of 2015. But some people now are giving it high praise, like, oh, this is the pinnacle of fear or whatever. Like, or Springtrap is the pinnacle of villainy. Like, no. Easily the best villain of all time is Darth Vader. So even Darth Vader would choke the crap out of him and like easily crush his body. So okay, so this game takes place farther in the future, but somebody told me years ago that it took place in 2017. So I put that on there just to be accurate. So let's have 2017 as our year. So like 2017, right? Michael goes back to Fazbear's Frights, right? Because obviously we know it's a horror attraction. And again, that's where the books are based off of the Fazbear's Frights from FNAF 3. Like it's pretty much a museum of like old FNAF relics and all that. Like even Fondue found the old pre-recorded tapes, and they were gonna play the tapes like in the attraction once the people were coming in, so they could hear like, oh, so this is what it was like back in the day to work at Freddy's, So on the first night, we all know that it's just nothing's happened. You just check both cams, like the main cams and the vent cams. But how can somebody work in an establishment like that? And even Phone Guy in the pre-recorded tapes mentions that the Spring Bonnie animatronic has been noticeably moved. Again, a little nod to FNAF 2. And Sister Location was being mentioned, which I'm pretty sure that drove Scott to make Sister Location, which I forgot to mention. Phone Guy, he did die in the first game. Again, it's pre-recorded, so we don't really know who killed him off. It could have been Freddy. Easily Freddy. Because, he's the main guy. Anyways, so on the second night, when Phone Dude releases Springtrap, like, of course, he brings up the fact, like, you're not going to believe this. We found one, a real one. Like, uh-oh. Again, I would like to see that on film where Michael has encountered his dad for the last time. And of course, if you don't fix those air conditionings, you're going to hallucinate. But the one animatronic who is not a hallucination is the puppet. So I know that I'm pretty sure most of us who know about the lore, Charlie is still trying to warn but prepare Michael for what is to come because Charlie wants Michael to burn the place down, right? So Michael finally burns the place down, but in a newspaper, like if you lighten it, like in the background, William survived. I want this. I want this bastard to be dead, guys. Scott, if you're watching this, I want Springtrap dead. Okay. Um, I don't know. Let's talk about the mini games a little bit. Um, Again, I don't know if this has anything to do with canon, but it's fun to bring up. Like, um, in order to get the good ending, you have to play the mini games, right? So, you have to give cake like to 5 children, like the dead ones, the victims, and it is cool that again they represent like they also there's also okay. So the main mini games that you get between the nights, like the other mini games are like the bonus ones, but like the main mini games you play as the 4 animatronics, and the fifth night you play as like the one of the victims, and then you scare William, and then he goes into the suit. So they actually show his death on paper, if you will, but it's pixelated. Yep. um, but yeah, once you've done everything for the good ending, like the animatronics, like the heads, like the masks, they don't light up. But if you play it the game normally, like you're gonna get the bad ending, which um, yeah, there's one extra head, which is Fredbear, and these hauntings are going to continue on. Like again, it's a hypothetical thing. Now I think about it, what was that? I know the bad ending in Sister Location is the real ending. Like what was it due to the fact like Michael turned out to like have entered inside him? Like I think that was the case. Security breaches endings are pretty freaking confusing, so I'll try to explain that as much as I can, guys, on that one. So yeah, I pretty much covered all the specifics on FNAF 3 too. So FNAF 6 Pizzeria Simulator, December 2017. Oh my gosh, again, another Christmas gift. Another good one. So we don't know exactly when this takes place. Could be another few years after. Um, but basically you're building your own pizzeria, but it's actually in a labyrinth to trap some of the scrapped animatronics. And I believe Henry Emily is still alive in this timeline. And we don't know how William survived this, but like he lost an arm, so like maybe got burned more and lost an arm during that fire at Fazbear's Frights, right? So I believe the only 4 animatronics, right, that you have to capture in this is Springtrap, uh, Scrap Baby, Lefty, and Scrap Funtime Freddy. Um, what Henry said to one of them is that he knows that one of them is going to survive. He's like, although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell um, awaits you or whatever. Like, so don't keep the devil waiting. Oh my gosh. Um, and there were so many memes after that. Like people have been making labyrinth memes and like like and William being turned to a marketable plushie. Like, oh my gosh, that's funny. Um, Something about Pizzeria Simulator was so fun and different. Like, um, it could still be dark, but like it had really fun. Like you get to build your own pizzeria. Like, um, is there really much to say about FNAF 6? I mean, I don't know. I just cover what I just said. Like Henry was he needed somebody to help him build this trap. Henry couldn't do this by himself. It's just too obvious. Like the animatronics would go to him in person and try to kill him. But Baby has really had it rough, unfortunately. And Lefty is Charlie in disguise because we get to see more of her being killed. Like they show more of that, and she possesses the puppet Again, we don't know how and why that's physically impossible, but again, I'm sure Scott will love to explain it. And Charlie goes into Lefty as like a vessel. It's a vessel, right? We all know this. And it's still unknown what happened to Michael, you know. As far as we know, he made it out of number 3. So um, I would love to see him to make a comeback. That would be nice. Okay, so basically, FNAF 7, Security Breach. Again, another good Christmas gift of 2021. And woo, boy, they really went out on this one. And of course, it was on a higher budget. Even Scott couldn't even pull this off by himself, even if he tried. He used Click Team for his original games. I'm not gonna at least mention the spin-off games that came out, especially not FNAF World. No, it's just like the spin-off games aren't really canon per se. It's just like a whole different perspective of the games, especially like um, Ultimate Custom Night, which is William Afton's personal hell, which I'm pretty sure it's his nightmare with all the animatronics. So Gregory, we have been introduced to Gregory, who's a kid, and Rockstar Freddy, or Glamrock Freddy, Father of the Year, by the way, um, he doesn't recognize him from his database. So it's probably because he's new, or Matt Pat had this stupid theory where Gregory might actually be a robot. We don't know. At least we know. Little fun fact here, guys. In the Fazbear Frights books, like Into the Pit, the very first story, time travel does apparently exist in the FNAF universe. So, like, again, how are they going to pull that one off? I mean, if that's the only way, if the ball pit is the only way to time travel, then oh my gosh, where can I find one? And we're going to get my hands on one. And Vanessa, yes, yes, looking mighty fine and mighty thick, guys. No lie there. Um, but yeah, she's like the new security guard, and every time you get like those bags, and then they notify you like to check your Faz watch. There was a notification where they said like, oh, Vanessa's been transferred here. Like she came from this school or whatever. Like she's training and like, well, she went to training and she's here now, but like we might have to let her go or like transfer her to another place. Like, okay, then why are you unsure of your new employee? Like she is very like serious about her job. Um, every time she talked, I'm just like, I don't care if you're pissed off. I want to date you. Gregory, yeah, I know your name. Or like when she had Freddy pinned down, per se, when he was in like the fixing chamber. Um, I honestly did not know what to expect from Glamrock Freddy, other than like expect the stereotypical tropes where like, oh, he's an animatronic, he's gonna want to kill the kid, you know? Like, no, the other three want to. Um, Music Man's theme though, oh my gosh, great chase music, guys. And then you got freaking like Sun and Moon, like, hello, or like, naughty children must be punished. Like, wow. Jeez. I don't know. Has Glamrock Bonnie been, I guess, properly introduced? Because we know in the bowling alley scene, like if you go up to like the curtain, Freddy mentions something like, "I don't come up here anymore. I miss him." Like, oh, is that gonna be part of the new patch? Because did the new patch come out right, or is it coming out sometime later this year, guys? I don't know. Just again, I need to get caught up to speed with this. Believe me, guys, I am trying to get caught up with everything. Okay. Um. So Vanny, apparently she's the granddaughter to William. Um. I don't even know where Glitch Trap comes into the story because he's in FNAF VR. So like, um, if Scott wants to make him canon, or if he already is canon, then I need a proper explanation. But like, I don't know how this happened with Vanessa, but like, did someone possess her and like told her like, oh, or like maybe it's William because you know he loves to manipulate and all that stuff. But like, oh, you're Vanny, you need to go into this costume. You're a hallucination. So like, Gregory's the only person that we know of that can see her, but not Freddy or the others, which is unfortunate. So there's multiple endings, right? Um, there's okay, so okay, there's 4 endings, right? Right? No, there's 3. Never mind, because one of them is like Gregory can leave, and apparently he goes into an alleyway and he sleeps in a cardboard box with newspapers, and Vanny would still haunt him. The other one is that like okay, so obviously Gregory can stay right with Freddy. One of the endings was Freddy was trying to fight off the helper bots, I believe they're what they're called. Then Vanny orders them to like rip them apart. They don't show much. Again, were they out of the budget to like show any more animation? I love the comic book style too. The endings here, that was pretty cool. Now I think about wait. Okay, I'm sure this will make much more sense to me, but like, what is the real ending though here, guys? I might have a good speculation which one's the real ending, but like this one ending is short because I remember rewatching the episodes off of Markiplier, but like Gregory goes into the security office and he orders the bots to take down Vanny, which we know is Vanessa. And the most touching moment from Freddy when Gregory was sad to see him destroy like that, he's like, "You are my superstar." Like, Dad of the Year right there, guys. Seriously, Dad of the Year. To me, he always be Dad of the Year every year, no matter what. There was another ending. I don't know if this counts, right? Where Vanessa was trying to mess with Gregory, but then Freddy comes in, jumps off the roof, which how do they get on the roof, by the way? And then it reveals Vanessa, which hopefully she's alive, but then Freddy is busted. I think about it. I think there is 4 endings actually. Now I think about it, because this ending, which I believe is the true ending to this, again, I'm pretty sure most of us don't know what it is, unless if this is the true ending. Vanessa lets Gregory and Freddy leave, right? Again, I could be wrong on this. I could be wrong. If from what I've mentioned with the other one, with like Freddy jumping off the roof with Vanny, and like, you know, with this one, what I'm talking about, they all leave. They're on a hill, they're having ice cream, and they're watching the sunrise, right? Not the sunset. No. Who am I going a little bit crazy here? But like, I love challenging my brain with the timeline and the specifics and all that. Like, to me, I think that is the true ending to Security Breach. Because if Vanny found out, if Vanessa found out that the company wanted to at least get rid of her or transfer her to another location, I bet you she wanted out too, like leave with no warning. Like, I'm with you, girl. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have to cover from the game canon. And like I said, guys, the Fazbear Frights books and the Tales from the Pizzaplex books, they are canon, but I'm not gonna really go into that because there's a lot of stories, and like I said, I haven't read Tales of the Pizzaplex yet. But I can't wait when this movie comes out and turns out to be like, canon, obviously. Again, just like with the Thomas and Friends lore, I did brought this up, like in the book lore and in the television lore, like they're both canon. So like, wow, so like this could be it for the FNAF franchise as well. So like, oh my gosh, this makes me more excited. But like, still, what a trip, guys. Thank you so much for sticking here with me and you guys taking your time to listen to what I have to say. And if what I've said is true, let me know in the comments. Please, I am interested to hear what you guys have to say about the lore. But if you lore's like, I am ready to do a long list of like in the comments, like what your thoughts and theories are, if it is correct. And Scott, man, if you're watching this at all, I would just love if you were to contact me in any way. That would be sweet. And you would tell me the official timeline. I'm sure there'll be an official book from Scott in the future where he explains the entirety of the canon, the timeline. So if it does happen, I'll be there to pick it up. Yep. So yeah, like I said, guys, this is what I got for the timeline. Again, I don't have any other specific dates like FNAF 6 and FNAF 7 just say future because we don't know when it takes place. Well, there is one thing that I forgot to mention, and about security breach. What a great way to end this off, guys. So Springtrap comes back again, but he's really banged up, and he lives underground. And I don't know if he actually does stay in a wheelchair, but at the very last minute, as soon as he was about to get Gregory and Freddy, Funtime Freddy, just his head and a snake-like neck, like grabs William and just like takes him away. Like, I hope he ended him off for good because they were both trapped in that labyrinth together in FNAF 6, what I talked about. Like, wow. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, again, thank you so much again for watching this, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Please turn the post notification bell and share my content if you haven't already. And let me know in the comments too if I missed anything or if you want me to talk about other FNAF news, which I'll be happy to cover for you guys. Again, let me know in the comments below. I want to know, guys. All right, again, thanks so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for buying. May the Lord be with you guys. Always love you guys. Peace out, guys. You have a great night. And don't be scared, kids, all right? Don't have nightmares, all right? These are just fictional characters, all right? But we are coming this close to having a real Freddy Fazbear's Pizza one day, because if you guys remember the awesome news last summer what we got, just like with the freaking Mr. Beast burger type thing, but like you guys know what I mean, then you guys know. Again, so many great things to come, especially from the movie. All right, I'm going to end this now. You guys have a good night now. Bye, guys, and love you always. Love you 3,000. Right. Bye.